Welcome to Living Life God's Way. Real life, real talk, real hope. Every show. Join us every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. as we discuss topics relating to life, church, family, education, and so much more. Invite a friend. Tag them even. But don't you dare miss the show. Living Life God's Way. Every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Welcome to Living Life God's Way. Real life, real talk, real hope. Every show. Join us every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. as we discuss topics relating to life, church, family, education, and so much more. Invite a friend. Tag them even. But don't you dare miss the show. Living Life God's Way. Every Thursday at 6:30 p.m.
Good evening to you. Welcome to Living Life God's Way. We are excited about this evening's program. We hope you are as well. We are inviting you to share your thoughts and opinions with us so that we will hear what you have to say and so on concerning balance in our lives. That's what we're discussing in essence this evening, balance. How do we find balance? Where do we find balance? What is balance? What do we need to do to be balanced? All that we'll be discussing this evening on Living Life God's Way. Elder Sheridan, would you like to say hello?
Yes, hello, and good evening, and so glad to have you with us. And again, an interesting topic, and I'm often hearing, how do you find balance? Can you find balance? It will be very interesting to hear what you'll come up with. And don't forget, you drop your comments as well, enlighten the conversation, and let's keep going.
All right.
Over to take a look. Where's the camera?
Good evening. I have nothing more to add, really. I'm looking forward to discussion. Balance, as you said, is something that we all try to have, but sometimes we don't actually manage it. Some manage it better than others. Do men manage it better than women? Do women manage it better than men?
Oh, they're deep.
So we will see. But yeah, looking forward to the conversation.
All right. Well, you heard it from these ladies. I'm always honored to have them by my side in this program. Good evening to you, Samantha. I think you're the first person who will comment it, so good evening to you. I know you said you'll try to jump on. Thank you for being with us. And I'm also looking forward to hearing your thoughts, because I see you going and dressing up all for your birthday and stuff like that. So I know. Yes. Well. So for sure, we are looking forward to your thoughts and your opinion. Let's take a short break and say hello to one of our sponsors. So we'll be right back on Living Life God's Way. Balance. Let's talk about it this evening.
Welcome to Living Life God's Way. Real life, real talk, real hope. Every show. Join us every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. as we discuss topics relating to life, church, family, education, and so much more. Invite a friend. Tag them even. But don't you dare miss the show. Living Life God's Way. Every Thursday at 6:30 p.m.
And good evening to you. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome to Living Life God's Way. this evening we are talking about balance, living a balanced life. And I'm sure there are many opinions and thoughts when it comes to balance. What is balance, and what do we need to do to find balance? Is balance important? Those are questions I'm sure you were thinking about or have thought about, or you may have never thought about them. You may figure, I should work all of the time. I should be working all the time. I should be studying all of the time. I should be going to church all of the time. I should be playing games all of the time. But this evening, we want to show you how important it is to have balance. Praise the Lord.
Amen.
So I'm going to here's my thought, and then you ladies can jump in. So I made some notes, and balance. I came up with this description of it, being able to have different elements or components that you can bring in chronological order, or to be able to function in a way that is not tilted left or tilted right, but you have some sense of middle position on all things. And then life. What is life? Something that is unique to an individual, where you are given breath and you're able to breathe and so on. So ladies, when I put the two of them together, I came up with the ability to balance one's overall life, or the ability to balance one's overall existence in all these different aspects of our lives. Pastor Pepe, good evening to you. Thank you for joining us all the way in Miami, Florida. Sir, salute you. It's always good to have you on with us this evening. So ladies, that's my thought and my definition. Who's going to go first?
That's interesting. The word balance in house. I like this one, a little biased here, but it says it is an even distribution of weight, enabling someone or something to remain upright and steady. You know?
Mhm.
So it's like taking some element from what you're saying, these different areas in life,
Mhm.
and being able to operate and be upright, steady,
Right.
so you can function.
Mhm.
Okay. Yep, so that's balance for me.
All right.
Over to you. You have to.
That's not the same. And when I think about it, I just think of the scales,
Yes.
and trying to make sure that you have weight on both sides so that they are balanced.
Mhm.
And I think that's what ultimately we try to do, don't we? We try to make sure that everything is equal, everything is balanced.
Mhm.
But I think in life sometimes the scales kind of go like this.
Yeah.
They kind of go up and down.
Mhm.
And I think it's acknowledging that can happen and try to readjust where you can.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that's what it's about. It's about having that equal weight, as you said,
Yeah.
on either side.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a good analogy there with the scale. And I mean, it's a long time scale.
Yeah, the old time. Yeah, not the
yes, the
digital.
old time.
I don't
not
know what
the
they call
digital
it.
one.
But
And I
yeah.
remember seeing my grand using that. So
The
you have the
weights.
two arms there,
Mm.
and if one is too heavy,
The only time with the old thing.
The
you
whole
Yes.
time scales when you used to
yes,
get the
Right.
so you
weights
get
and
the
put them
weights
on
and
to
put,
make them
and then you
even.
see it
Right.
coming back
Back up.
up. And
Right.
it's the same principle when it comes to life,
Mm.
being able to exist and have that kind of equilibrium so that you can move forward,
Forward.
steady, you know,
Right.
and
Correct.
steady.
Right.
You know?
But what I realized, as much as let me read Dr. Pepe. He says, balance the king, marketplace responsibilities, and priests. Our responsibility in the church, balancing the king.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is so easily in our lives to be off balance because of the busyness of life, and we can pay attention to things that are important to us, whereas we lack paying attention to things that we may not seem as important to us, but are important. Let's say, for example, and let me use this one where we sometimes you will find yourself at church 7 days a week, and then, or let me say 5 for argument's sake,
Yes.
5 days a week. To me, that is imbalance, because if then what happens to your home life? Then what happens to your work life? And there's this off balance. And I know that persons can use it to manipulate others. When we talk about going to church, physical
Yes.
church, we're talking about
Yeah.
and finding balance. I believe that it's important to find balance. Because if you don't, you are tilting one side.
Definitely.
And as you guys gave the definition of the scale of the old, where when you put on that weight and everyone is too heavy, you know that it's going to go that side, and you will never find a common ground between anything.
Right.
The purpose of having weight, the equal amount of weight on both sides, so that the thing that you are trying to measure gives you accuracy in terms of, like, if you're putting sugar, remember, if you're putting sugar on the scale, you make sure that you have a 10 or 5, a 10 and a 10 or 5 and a 5 or 2 and a 2, never having a 10 and a 5 on the side, because you'll never find the accurate measurement of the thing that you're trying to weigh. Elder?
But what's interesting here to find out, how do we go about attaining or knowing balance? How would we know when we attain balance? And I think for us to, before, it's just like, again, with the same scale, they use a different weighting depending on the item that is being weighed. So if it is sugar, if it is being potatoes, they have several weights, right? The same thing now, when it comes to us finding balance, then we have to define our identity, who we are, what's God's purpose in our lives, so that we have an idea as to how we can measure how much of this and how much of that we do, or what we should leave out, or what we should include. If you don't have that sense of identity or working idea in terms of a vision or goal for yourself, we will not be able to attain balance. I think in order for us to find balance or work towards it, we must be able to identify ourselves in God, identify ourselves with purpose, and then take it from there.
All right, let's do it. You want to ask something there?
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead. Shoot. Go ahead.
I have a question. So going on from what Elder Shirley was saying, how do you know then as a person whether or not you have balance in your life?
Well,
because you might feel that you're balanced, but your family or friends, or you may not necessarily be. So how do you actually, I guess you have to know what balance is before you know you have it. That makes sense.
Yeah. Like, well, I have to put it from a personal point of view. Like, for me, balance for me is being able to have that connection with God. Balance, being able to connect with friends, close, my circle. Balance for me, family. Balance is being able to live what I know God called me to do. So what I normally do is write down these areas. So if I find myself, in one thing, as you were saying, in church 5 days a week, that means I have no time to hang out. I have no time to paint. I have no time to do anything. So I'll be working on 2 or 3 wheels and the other thing up in the air.
Right.
So when I find myself feeling exhausted or pulling in one direction, I say, nah, it's just an inner feeling. It's just in feeling too right, It's like, nah, I have to do this. I have to spend a little bit more time here or whatever. But for me, recognizing what's going on, I have to get in a quiet space. I find early in the morning is good, and then I examine and I talk to God, and you have a little convo going on.
I think one of the things that are important is finding out first, identifying what is happening in our life, church, family, children, spouse, making a note. I think it's important to actually make a note. I see Samantha says here, for me, mental health is important as I need to balance out my work life.
Yes.
And that this is a real case here, if I may put it that way, because sometimes you can spend so many hours at work, and then when you come home, you have to finish off work. Work becomes your life. Then you don't have time to do anything else. So your life is work. And this obviously is off balance. Sometimes there are persons, if you take a vacation or take time off, you feel guilty. That's the sign of an overworked person, because that's a sign of imbalance. So I believe that it's important to make note of the things in your life, the various scenarios, and all of that. Make notes of these things, and you can even get a sheet of paper and write, or get your computer and make notes. This is what I do. I write in here, Brian calendar. I do this, I do this, I do this. Okay, how much time do I spend doing this? How much time do I spend doing that? And so on. and then you're able to make some adjustments. Because if we don't do it like that, I mean, some persons have the ability to do it in their mind, but I don't like the idea of putting so much in your mind. I like the idea of making notes. So you make notes, put it down, and then you do some examination. Oh, I spent 5 hours doing this. I spent 3 hours doing this. I spent 0 time doing this. And then you list them so after listing them, then you're able to say, you know what, okay, I spend this amount of time here. I need to make some adjustment here because I'm tilting over on this side. And for me personally as well, before the program started, I was sharing with Dr. Colling that one of the things I read a lot. And one of the things that I do is sometimes I can read until I get a headache. And that's too much. You know, that's time, all right, shut your eyes now, boy. It's time to sleep. So if I'm doing that, it means that I'm off balancing because my rest is important.
Yeah.
So there's a balance there if rest is not happening. And we can look at it that way. We can make notes that way and make some adjustments. That way you identify what you do. Because if you don't, then like you said, Doc, then how do you figure out that you are not off balance?
Yeah.
Because if you sometimes you don't even, especially if you enjoy doing something.
Exactly.
Definitely.
If you enjoy doing something, you can spend so many hours, so much time doing this thing, and then when you catch yourself, your spouse comes to you, or you was on that computer ever since. And you know, like,
all day.
Look, you were on that computer for the time you came home. Now it's 11 o'clock, and no time for me. Or let's say you're somebody who's into ballroom dancing, and you come home from work. Hi, babe, you get a shower, and then you're back out. And then when you come home, it's 11 o'clock. And your spouse is all upset. You're doing it 3 evenings a week.
Yeah.
So all of these things are off balance. I believe that God wants us to be a balanced person. You know, jump in here, please.
But you know, they have the argument, oh, but I'm doing God's business.
Right.
And I'm going to bring it in the context of the church now, because I have grown up because of my father and moving along and so on. You find there are ministers who are really dedicated to the Lord, praying and fasting. And don't get me wrong, they're important, but then they don't know their children. They don't know their wives. They are leaving and traveling to England. They come back for a few days. They're going off to America. And you know, they post and they talk about how God is using them in a powerful way. And this is something that happened. A guy was doing that, and of course he was boasting or thanking God for being used in Africa and different parts of the world. The children doesn't want to know about the God he's serving, and family split, So again, finding balance. And I never forgot, and I think when I was around 16 years old, my father, who is also a minister, he said the Lord told him when he was in England doing ministry, he said, while you're busy saving others, make sure you save your children as well. You're there for your children as well.
Right.
So in terms of ministry, as much as it is important and we get passionate about it, we have to make sure to take care of the other sides, the other parts of what make us us. Because we're human beings, we're children of God, yes, but we're human beings, emotional beings, social beings, and you have to get that balance in there. Yeah.
Well,
I had a few notes about things that you can do to get
that's
balance.
your
And one of them was having a schedule.
Right.
Having a schedule in and
Okay.
jotting
Because a little
down.
bit different timetable.
Right.
is an issue. Okay.
Right. So I mean, I personally have a time. I
You
have
have
a
a
timetable at home pinned
Okay.
up in my office.
So you would consider
tell us
yourself an
about it.
organized person?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
tell us. You go ahead,
Just a
sister.
little
Tell
bit.
us about it.
Yes, definitely.
So you're telling me that I'm going to spend this amount of time doing this and then I move on to the next. Do you do that?
I
Most of the
try
time?
to
Okay.
most of the time. I mean,
Okay.
sometimes things happen and you have to be flexible and what have you.
Right.
But yeah, I do have a timetable for every day of the week, and I schedule in even prayers and devotion, and then my work time, obviously when I'm at work,
Right.
and then I have social time or family time, and then I have my studies,
Right.
and then I'll have just relaxation, which
Okay.
doesn't really I find it hard to relax,
Right.
but I do
So
schedule
that's where
it
you're off
in.
balance.
That is where I'm off
Right,
balance,
okay.
because even in that relaxation period, I'll still find myself maybe reading something that's not just abstract. It's something to do with work or
Right,
something. So I'm
right.
still, but then, like you said, when you do something that you enjoy, so I enjoy reading.
Right.
So for me, even if it is an academic book or if it's a journal or something like that, because I enjoy reading, I find it relaxing. So
Right.
I'm still relaxing, but I guess really my brain is still working. So it's not switched off. So even though I feel relaxed,
Understand.
I'm not really relaxed. And the
Right,
subconscious is still,
Yeah.
So scheduling is important for sure. And as you said, and also then you can see where you may be off kilter. If you're spending 10 hours on your computer and you're doing games or whatever, something that's not constructive, even 10 hours at work, and you're supposed to be doing something else, is a lot of time. So you can see how you're actually using your time. And one of the things I always say to people is that irrespective of color, class, location, whatever, job, whatever, everybody has one thing in common in life, and that's the amount of hours in a day.
Right.
So wherever you are, whoever you are, you only have 24 hours. But what the difference is what you do with those 24 hours.
Right.
Right? So for me, I hate wasting time.
Right.
I was supposed to be relaxing last weekend, and it took me about 2 hours to actually relax, like not actually can vouch for me. It took me about 2 hours. I said to her, I feel like I'm wasting time. I'm not doing anything. And she said, that's the whole point. You're not supposed to be doing anything.
Right.
And so I find it hard, but I, force myself to make sure, because I know it's important. Because if you said, like you're talking about resting, so relaxation, that's important. So whether, you go for a walk, you go to the beach, you hang out with friends, whatever, just relax. Go for a massage, pedicure, manicure, whatever. Relaxation is really important. And, I didn't realize really how important sleep is.
Right.
I mean, I know people tell you all the time, oh, you got to get your rest, But when you read about the benefits of good sleep,
right,
I was like, oh, I need to sleep. Because I was like, oh, I can survive on 4 hours sleep. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, oh, but then later in life, I might have all these different ailments because I haven't been resting my body.
Right.
Yeah.
So now I really try to get 8 hours, even if it means my eyes open up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I have to force myself to go back to sleep and get myself into a routine.
Right.
Yeah.
They also say that waking up at the set time every morning, irrespective of if it's the weekend or if it's during the week, that gets your body into a rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you can function, you can work out when is your best time. So for me, even though I can get up early, my best time to really function and get down to hard work is in the afternoon.
Okay.
So,
wow.
yeah. So they also say, just a little tidbit, that it depends on the time of day you're born.
Yes, I heard about that.
So if you're born in the morning, you tend to be a morning person. If you're born in the afternoon, you tend to be more of an afternoon, evening person. I was born in the afternoon.
Oh, okay.
So that figures for me. It might not be for everybody, but that's what they say.
Right, right.
So, you have to find your own individual rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
So at work, for example, I know in the morning, let me do my meetings and paperwork and stuff like that, get that out of the way. So, and the harder stuff that needs my concentration, I know I don't do that until after 1 o'clock.
Right.
So that gives me a sense of kind of peace to some extent at work, rather than trying to force to do a task in the morning when I know that I function better in the afternoon, and I can, so all those things give you that balance, because you've got to do the work. It's got to be done.
Right.
But it's the best time for you.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some, and hobbies, having a hobby, whatever that hobby, ballroom dancing, painting, music, whatever. Find something that takes you out of general day-to-day life. A sport, anything, just a hobby of some sort that relaxes the mind, takes you away, gets you to relax. One of the things that we don't do as well, we don't actually give ourselves time to think.
Right. Right.
We just on autopilot all the time. Work, children, church, whatever.
Right.
Who actually sits down and says, okay, I'm going to just give myself 15 minutes. I'm just going to just think about things in general. Just think things through and, see how reflect and just have that thinking time.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really tend to do that. So hobbies sometimes give you the opportunity, because you're away from the day-to-day stuff. You're focusing on your game or whatever you're doing, and then it frees up your mind a little bit. And then the last one was socialize. Make time for friends, family, and and just chill. And life is serious, yes, but there's also a time to play as well. So we need to do that. So those are my tidbits.
Love it, love it. I saw
Sometimes.
Samantha saying here, sometimes
Yeah,
the most
most-
spontaneous things bring joy.
Yes.
If you're out driving, pull up by the beach and get
Correct.
some sand,
Take
beneath your
pictures.
toes and some water as well.
Correct.
She says it works wonders.
It does.
And
I agree.
that's very true, very true. You know, and as you guys were sharing, I'm also thinking that the lack of balance will suggest something is off balancing in our lives. And because if you work too much, if you study too much, if you do anything too much, then you are leaning towards the scale tipping over.
And it's going to be bad.
You know,
Mhm.
and where you have persons that you're talking about rest and sleep. I was like that too. Very little sleep. You know, reading on the computer, doing work and stuff like that. And so I got so excited, and sometimes even still have to tell myself that, like, I'm so excited about tomorrow that my adrenaline is
And you can't
my
sleep,
adrenaline
yeah.
is
You think about all the things you got to do tomorrow. You're looking forward to getting
yeah,
it done.
man. And I get up 3 o'clock. Oh man, it's only 3
3
o'clock.
Exactly.
Why is it not 6 o'clock? So I can start what I need to do. Why is the clock wasting time?
Yeah.
You know, and so I have to constantly tell myself, you know what, but rest is important. Go to sleep,
Yeah.
you know. So if I say where balance comes there, that's where it is for me in terms of the adrenaline always going, excited about the next thing to do. Looking forward to the next task, and okay, I want to get it done. I'm so excited about it, but you have to rest. And study shows too that if you don't rest, your liver is not repaired, and your liver that's where, you know. So this balance thing is very important for us. Otherwise, we are not operating in our full potential as a person because we are too off balance in one form or the other.
Yeah.
I've learned power naps work.
Power naps, yeah.
20 minutes
Yeah.
does wonders. Just a 20-minute sleep and get back up
Yeah.
And keep going.
and then go again.
Yeah.
It feels like I've slept like a good few hours. But you can't do more than 20 to 30 minutes because then obviously your body starts to go into really deep sleep
You're right.
and then it wants to sleep completely.
You're right.
But a little 20 minutes or 30 minutes, it rejuvenates and then you can get back up again.
I think the whole reality of this is that if we don't find balance or some semblance, or some people would say you can never find balance, but I say, you know what, it's better to have an idea of what you want and you move towards it bit by bit. But the reality is, if we don't learn to find balance, balance will find us. In other words, I talk nice and pretty and say, oh, you have to rest, you have to forget and do all of that. But if you don't rest properly, you suffer from burnout.
Yeah.
If you don't rest properly, the doctor will look at you and tell you go home for 2 weeks and do nothing.
Right.
And walk on the beach and let the water touch you ankle high, just relax and do. And I'm telling you from experience. So I don't want that happening to me again. So, you know, from time I'm just learning and praying. From time you find yourself too busy or you find yourself too in this or one area, whatever, it's like just let go something. Let go, just relax. You have to relax. And the importance of finding balance really is that you open up yourself. You're more open to when the Lord wants to direct your steps, when He wants to feed you. You're more, you have more time for people that are important to your life existence. If you don't find that balance, you'll be just going on autopilot or only going on what you know or what you feel. I think you're the best in function when you can find that semblance of balance. I can't preach that. I can't say that enough. You are at your best when you are able to find some form of balance.
Should balance be equal amount of time for equal amount of things?
No, I don't think that can happen. It all depends. I don't think that can happen. I feel what can happen is that you make sure you distribute, you know, you have yourself in a way that whatever it is you're doing, you can distribute enough attention to it so you can get the best out of it. Right? Because let's say, for instance, a mother who has children
Right.
She might have to spend more time with children,
Right.
making sure they do their homework or they get fed and so on.
Mhm.
But because she's conscious of balance, she might give herself a day of the week where she's going to go and hang out with her girlfriend or
Correct.
girlfriends.
How important is that, ladies?
Spending time.
Spending the time
As a mom?
as a mother,
Ah,
spending time away from your children. Is it should the mother feel guilty when she spend time away from her children?
Do men
Let's jump in. Let's
they
jump in.
do. They do
Do
feel
fathers feel
guilty.
guilty?
The devil is a lie. No,
Just
you
a
don't.
question.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Exactly.
But I know
No,
for you
no.
ladies,
Yes,
you ladies
no, I
who
totally
are
hear where you're
wired
coming
different.
from you.
Right.
I
You-
totally get, because again, this is my subject,
Yeah,
gender.
yeah.
When a woman
Go
is
right ahead.
out without her children, people say, "Oh, where are the children?"
Mm.
Men hardly ever get asked, "Oh, where are your children?"
How you get there though? Because
No, that's what I'm asking. No, going back to the guilt. Because
right.
even though you might not feel guilty, someone will come up to you and say, "Oh, so where's the children?" You're like, "My children, why have I got to have my children? Should I have my children?" But
Right.
if you're a new mum, for
Right.
Yes.
example, and you just want some time out, and some of the first thing someone, "Oh, hi, how are you? How are the children?"
Where are the
So where are the children?
Yes.
And they're looking all about like you're hiding the
Yes,
behind.
it's true. Up to
So where are
now.
the children? Men hardly ever get asked, unless people know that he is a single
Single
father
father,
and whatever,
yeah.
they may ask. But generally, a woman is always asked either how are the children or where are the children.
But do you guys?
And so you feel
you-
you feel like you're pressured to have your children with you all the
With you.
time.
Right.
Or
Okay.
you should be with
Okay.
Or
them
you should be
home.
with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, so I personally don't feel guilty.
I see some others saying I don't.
I don't feel guilty.
Others I just don't.
I don't feel guilty, but the reason I don't feel guilty is because I believe I give my son enough attention and time.
Right. Right.
So, for example, we have a day where we would like every Saturday. I mean, he's getting older now, so he might not want Saturdays
Mm.
anymore. But you know, every Saturday was our day. So, irrespective, Saturday during the day, that was his time. Do whatever he wanted, go wherever he wanted to go. And so, and then obviously during the week, we catch up on homework and school. And so I give him enough time. So I don't know. I personally don't feel guilty, but I know there are women out there who do, and they shouldn't. They shouldn't, because you
Yeah.
are still you.
Right.
But that is it.
You're you with a child, not the child.
But this is the reality that some people don't take into consideration. Children grow quickly. Yeah? I remember when my children were 5 and 7, I was just there taking care of them. They were like my world. Your attention is between work when you're working is you're getting a salary to get things for them. You find yourself when you're going shopping, instead of buying a little thing, you're buying something for them. Oh, that shirt looks nice. That will fit my son. Or
Constantly
that
in your brain.
top. Oh, there goes my daughter's favorite item. Let me pick it up and go, right? But I realize as they are getting older and moving into their teens,
No, they're not checking for you,
They're
right?
checking for you.
Mommy, we're going out so and so. Mommy, we want to go so and so. Oh, mommy, what time are you leaving?
You're the taxi. You're taxi, and
You know?
yeah.
So as Colin said, I've grown into I don't feel guilty. Once I know I leave enough for them to
Food,
eat,
money, yeah.
food, they all have cells so they can reach me in case of any. I gone.
Mm.
You know, and this is sorry.
No, go ahead.
This the reality is this. You as an individual, you have to know yourself. What are your talents? What makes you feel excited about life? What craft, whatever.
Mm.
All these things you have to keep it in mind. Even though you're raising a child or children, try to touch base with one of them or two of them, whatever, from time to time. But always have this so that when these young people start to live their lives, man, I have my business and I have my friend, so we can go do things. And I don't feel no, mommy, when you're coming home, huh? When I'm home, you're busy doing your thing, right?
Exactly.
Now that I'm out, calling me, I'm coming in a while. But you have to get that
A balance,
balance after they hit the teens.
Mm.
I'm sorry. So y'all, listen, my last point, as Colin was saying, I had a certain day, either the Friday or the Saturday, we would go out all the time and do something.
Mm.
So I know that was my social life.
Yeah.
I hang out with my children. So I excited, come, let's go to the beach. Like, for example, oh, Mom, I don't feel like going to the beach. I have this game here. I want to do something. Try and get a life, huh?
Balance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
Get a life.
But how important is it then? Because we have concluded that when they get to the age of adolescent, and then they start
Mhm.
moving to adulthood.
Mhm.
They want us less.
Yes.
They want to see us less.
Mhm.
They want to talk to us less
Mhm.
because we have now entered the bracket of old people.
I trust that we've done our job. though.
Yeah.
I trust that we've done our
Yeah,
job.
yeah.
Right. So what about when they are younger and they need more of our time?
Mhm.
How do we find balance there?
That is what I'm saying.
Because
At
it's
that
still
time,
important.
Well, I don't know.
I think that goes back to your question about the amount of time you spend on different activities or different things.
Mhm.
You know, as a parent, that the majority of your time is going to be or has to be dedicated to your child because they are dependent on you.
Right.
So you automatically have it in your head that I'm going to have to spend, like 80%, if not 100% of my time with my child.
Right.
But it's not forever. That's how I thought.
Right,
I was like, okay,
Exactly.
Right.
this is not forever. This is what needs to be done now.
Mhm.
And this is what I need to do now. But as they get older, that will ease off. And then for some women, or even for some dads, but for women, a lot of the time they spend so much time with their children. When their children start to grow up, they've forgotten who they are
Right.
and how to enjoy life. And they become these, very intense kind of helicopter parents. Everything is their child and nothing else exists. And,
Right.
they're the ones who, can sometimes go into depression when their children leave and stuff like that because they've got nothing
Yeah.
to fill that
fall back on.
void.
Yeah.
And so, but it's very easy to fall completely, into your
Enrolled.
children, because they need you so much at those
Mhm.
younger ages. But you really have to try and keep that balance of still maintaining something, whether it's doing an online course or
Mhm.
meeting up with a friend or
Right.
going back to work or something. You just need to maintain you
Yeah.
as well as being a parent now.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're now joining us, we are discussing living a balanced life. And we're having some discussion on how do we do it? How do we get it done? And so on. So we've obviously on this program, we discuss real life scenarios and we discuss ways and truth and we are real people right here on Living Life God's Way. So we keep it real. We are Christian people who keep it real because we know life is real and God is interested in every aspect of our lives. So we want him to be a part of our lives and we know that he wants us to live a balanced and a productive life. So we hope you're enjoying the discussion. And we're here cracking up at some of the comments that Samantha is making. If you have a comment, please feel free to drop it on any of these streams here. You're watching Living Life God's Way, and we'll be sure glad to get a laugh at what you're saying or maybe mention it even. So we'll take a short break and we'll be right back on Living Life God's Way. Please stay with us.
Welcome to Living Life God's Way. Real life, real talk, real hope. Every show. Join us every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. as we discuss topics relating to life, church, family, education, and so much more. Invite a friend. Tag them even. But don't you dare miss the show. Living Life God's Way. Every Thursday at 6:30 p.m.
right, welcome back to Living Life God's Way. We're having a good discussion. If you're now joining us, we're discussing living a balanced life, how important it is to have a balanced life. Time for the social part of life, the fun part, the church part, and all the other activities part, work, and so on. So we're discussing this evening how to get it done, and we're discussing why it's important to get it done as well, and the importance of even having relaxed time as part of our schedule. I love what Dr. Colleen said earlier when she said that she has this timetable or schedule where she, factors in all the different things that she has. I love that, and I do it in my head because I have a particular routine that I do every day, every week, and so on. And even in terms of preparing messages, I know this is the day. This is the day to make notes. This is the day to do this, and so on. So I find that works as well. So one of the things that I'm trying to get back into my schedule is exercising, and I think that exercising is very, very important for us as well because it helps keep us healthy, and we need to be healthy. So, ladies, what other points can we share with our audience tonight about that?
I think going back to the schedule part,
Mhm.
the reason why I also write it down is that so people in my household know.
Okay.
What's that?
So right. So you not made them a part.
So
of,
they've got to,
okay.
and they have to be part of it because as we were saying, you can't just focus on just what you've got to do if you've got a family and what have you. You've got to spread it out, and
so what do? You put it somewhere that everybody can see.
It's up. It's color coded. It's in bold. It's up.
Okay.
So that's mummy's schedule.
Okay.
That's always good.
Okay.
So they can see that, and also I have like designated points in the house because I work from home sometimes.
Right.
So that was for my own mental health actually, because working from home is not as great as everybody thinks it is. There are some downsides to that. And one of the things for me, especially during the COVID pandemic when we were in lockdown, work and home and everything kind of just all meshed together, and I didn't know work from home, and so I have an area where if I'm working from home, I sit in that particular area.
Okay.
And if I'm working on my own stuff or, doing, browsing the internet or whatever, I sit somewhere else.
Okay.
So the family also know that if I'm sitting in one particular place, what I'm doing. I know not everybody has that luxury of that space or whatever, but you can still make a demarcation that if during this time, I will be doing this. And it also keeps you focused so that you don't run over your time and stuff like that. So if you know that between 6 and 7 is study time, and they know that you're going to be studying, then they know they have to come back to you after 7 unless someone's dying. You're not bleeding, someone's not dying. If it's not an emergency, then check me after 7. Kind of thing. And then that gives you time to have that interruption and so on. And it disciplines everybody else as well because they know that they also have to then plan their time as well to some extent, you know. So that's why I kind of also have it up in the house.
Okay.
So you might have it in your head and that works for you, but I find that something might come off kilter and then it knocks it out of your brain, and then you're in problems. So yeah.
I'm here smiling because I'm thinking, what about the person who's always, like in my case, being a teacher? Everything I do is according to a structure, according to a timetable.
So you should be good at it.
But hold on.
That's a wellness.
Spontaneity.
After a while, I just want to break. It's like
everything is a schedule. Everything is so organized. Everything is 10 o'clock.
Oh my goodness. So by weekend, no, I don't want to see a timetable. I don't want to, you just want the freedom. I was all right, we'll see how the day goes.
Right.
You know what I mean? They don't like to hear that. Yeah, so that kind of had me no more timetable. Everything scheduled, meeting, what class. So I know from time I get there until the end of school what I am doing every minute. So as a result now, for me, finding balance, I wasn't thinking of the word balance. It was like, forget about timetable. Let's go about how you feel. There's a spontaneous kind of thing going on in here. And that's how I survived.
Okay.
But then, I recognize, as Colin said, you need to have that kind of structure. So I find coming back with certain structures, even on the weekend, but please don't. But it shows, it works.
It's down to
You
your
need-
personality as well.
But
I'm very A type.
I like
so,
it.
Yeah.
can the lack of balance though suggest areas of our lives will need work if we are off balance? Because if we are, let's say we are in a place where things are off balance
Mhm.
and other things need our attention, but we pay more attention to this thing, then couldn't it be that side can be catastrophic for us, depending on what it is? Okay, let me give a scenario. Let's say you are someone who's always working, and you don't have any time for church. Let's use that.
Mhm.
You don't have any time where you go to church, because on let's use Sunday morning, for argument's sake. On Sunday morning, you are so tired you can't get up, and you're saying, I can't go to church this morning because it's the only day that I get to lie down
Right.
late. So
Right.
I cannot go to church so much. I have to go to church maybe once a month and stuff like that. Is that off balance or imbalance? Yes, I think it is. Let me answer for you,
I
ladies.
think
Yes.
so.
I
think so.
It is off balance.
Because you're
You kinda
prioritizing
get-
too much in
Yeah.
one thing
You know?
and leaving,
yeah.
like anything, you're leaving
Yeah.
something
Out.
underdeveloped
something
and,
out.
and you know.
But
Right.
you know, and the thing about it is that you can't get away. Even if you got away for a period of time
Mhm.
with that off balance thing, eventually you have to deal with it.
Right.
And one thing I can confess, when I was a little younger, because of my nature, I don't need the respect. Because of what I do, I'm an artist, I'm into business and all of that. And I guess as a single mom too, and taking care of the children, working became everything.
Mhm.
I finished the 9 to 5 or the 9 to whatever.
Right.
And then I came home and I did my art. So I was always in studio. So people who would have been talking to me then, they'll say, you don't see you, you don't hear you. So you didn't have, a strong social life. You didn't have a lot of time for it.
Mhm.
But, that is what happened then. But as I got older, it's like, hello, I need this time.
Mm.
I have to get, even if I have to paint, okay, I'm going to stop here. Or you just have to hear, oh, come in and go so and so. I said, really? All right, cool. I go on.
Mm.
Because you have to find, you can be all good painting, you could be getting this award.
Mhm.
We're going to celebrate with.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
See, my challenge is that my grandmother always used to say to me, "Devil makes work for idle hands. Find something to do."
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
and I find myself repeating that to my son.
Right.
So that's where I've kind of come to the point where I've got to always be doing something, while the devil's going to get me, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
It's true. It's
Not
true.
now, but when I was younger, you
Yeah.
know.
Right.
And so now it's become part of my DNA that I'm always
Doing
thinking I should be
something.
doing something. Like I
Right.
said, I always feel like I'm wasting time if I'm not doing something.
Mhm.
And so I suppose sometimes, that can have an impact in terms of how you socialize, in terms
Yeah.
of if you're seeing your parents or people around you always working or not, you may pick up those traits also. Because my mum always worked, my grandmother worked.
Mm.
So for me, women work, and
Right.
that's what you do. You want things, you work, you go and
Yeah.
get it, and you do what you have to do.
Exactly.
And so, but then on the flip side, my grandmother also used to say to me, "Oh, you're working too much. If you don't stop voluntarily, you're going to stop compulsory, meaning your
Yeah.
health is
Right,
going to
right,
give
right.
away."
Work never dies.
Oh, not right. And yeah, that's not what's going to be on your headstone. And you leave, and they're going to find someone to replace you within a week, and you
Right.
have all those things. So you have all these conflicting messages that you've got to work, or the devil's going to get you, or if you don't stop voluntarily, you're going to have all these health problems and so on. So again, even how we're socializing our children as well, we need to make balance part of their socialization.
Yeah.
Right.
So even like when we're talking to our children about studying, it's like, yes, study. Common Entries is coming up, or CAPE's coming up, or CXC's coming up. Study. No, if you still do football or road tennis, still do that on a Saturday, still do that on a Friday night, and then you start. You have that balance, so you continue
Correct.
to maintain that balance from young, and you will maintain it when you're older.
Right.
But you know how many students I've heard, I remember even when I was in Trinidad, where these students will be like scholars, they're really good at their work, but then they lose their mind.
Yes, because it's too much.
They lose their mind. It's too much, you know. So no balance.
Too much of anything is
It's
unhealthy.
the Bible said
Right.
a false balance is a what? An abomination. Hear the strong word, an abomination.
That's strong.
Wow.
What was that again? What was that
A
scripture?
false, I can't remember exactly.
No,
but a false balance is an abomination.
Scripture. Balance.
Yeah, 'cause, and I mean, you can see in a lot of areas in our lives where there's imbalance, where we lack completion in whatever area, because we spend so much time doing other things, and then the other things that are important in life we can easily miss by paying attention to the other things. So having the balance says to us, I will give the other things in my life attention because it also needs attention. You know, I think maybe one of these sessions we may need to look at socializing, because I think that socializing is also important.
Very much so.
Having balance is also socializing, because you cannot learn only by yourself. You have to learn with others, and that's why the Bible says iron sharpens iron. So we need to be amongst each other in order to grow as a person. If you realize, and if you ever study prison, when those guys are isolated, their response when they come out to be with others or in society is totally different. It's weird. If you study it, you'll see, because then you have no social skills. How do you not have social skills when you live in a world where there are other people that you need to communicate with, and then you don't talk to people? You don't know how to talk to them.
Exactly.
You don't know how to express yourself, and it affects it affects life. So, like I said, maybe we can have a discussion about socializing and the importance of being a social being as well.
Sorry, just I think that's an important topic, and maybe something for another session. But it is, because especially in this day and age when everything is about the computer and online, and everything's technical. And going back to your point about prison, for example, they use solitary confinement as a punishment because they know that being on your own completely without any other interaction can make you conform, can make you, can deplete your mental health and all the rest of it. So that they actually use that as a form of punishment, along with, back in war days, they would have sleep deprivation. So again, going back to the point of rest and the importance of rest and being able to have good cognitive skills and thinking skills, because you've rested and you can think properly. And also, if you're not thinking properly, how are you going to hear God? If your mind is so busy, either doing lots of work or not rested, how are you hearing from God? And so that scripture that you gave was Proverbs 11:1. A false balance is abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight.
You hear that? His delight. A just weight
is his delight.
Wow.
King James.
Wow.
So it's important.
It's very important.
And
that's living life God's way. Finding
literally
that just balance.
Yeah.
I think to bear in mind how the big question might be, how do you know that you're forming some kind of balance? And I think from time I find my time is more balanced, I find more time for other things. You feel happier, you feel lighter, and when you're in the presence of God, you feel like at home. You can actually enjoy there, and regardless of what's going on, there's a peace. There's a peace, and you feel more attentive in that presence. Because if you're not balanced, it's either you're tired or your brain's so going that even when you're in the presence of God, your brain going too, or you find even when you're socializing, you're not present. And that's another thing I had to learn. That's why don't take that word for granted. People know how to socialize, but sometimes we have to be trained. and it's out of relationship we learn that.
Yeah.
So when you go, and now you can talk to my children now, and I sound pretty, but these are from lessons I've learned.
Right.
When you go to an event, don't be thinking about so and so. Be there. What do
Right.
they like? What do they enjoy? Try to be present.
Yeah. So true. So
You
true.
know?
And it's being present
I'm
and being
guilty of
present.
that.
Yeah.
I can be
Yeah.
guilty of that.
Yeah.
Where I you're sitting in some place, a group,
Yeah.
and everybody's laughing. And I'm really thinking, okay,
Business.
when I go and
Yeah.
sit down, I'm gonna make these notes. I have to do this. I have to do this, and good
You're
conversation. And you are so far away again because of the imbalance. And I mean, it's dangerous because likely if you are among persons who you can learn a lot from, you miss
Yes.
it.
And not only that,
You miss it.
not only that, this is what I learned, and that is what helped me. I remember when my sister, many years ago, and she was 19 years around that time, and she was away studying. She came to Barbados for Christmas. But I was at peace, I was comfortable. And she said, Sherry, could you get me, there's a ring she saw. And normally my brain is going, but then after I was like present because she was back home and everything, I said, I want this ring. I said, but what do you want? Anyway, I just felt, give her the ring. Nobody told me that would be the last time I saw her as my sister. The next time I saw her, she was in a coffin. How many times you're busy or you're I remember many years ago, and this is true, many years ago, a friend of mine, then a pastor's daughter as well, and we always saying we're going to connect, we will connect. I was busy, she was busy and everything, and the time she connected with me, she was sick, but I didn't know how severe. But then when we were supposed to meet again, she wasn't feeling well. Next thing I heard, she died.
You got to be
It
present.
hit me, so because of what business, how nice, whatever you do, you have to make time for the people that God bring into your life.
Yeah.
And all that is finding balance. And what's interesting, in each area that you need to balance, you have to find area in that balance in
Balance
that
again.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Balance and balance.
Balance and balance.
Balance it. Yeah. So
Wow.
true. So true.
I have one last question.
Your
Balance
question.
then. Can you have it all?
Can you have?
Can you have it all?
Can you have it all?
That's a good question.
Go to a buffet. Go to a buffet.
But then the buffet says all you can eat.
Yeah, but that is it.
So you can have it all.
What is
then,
the it
that you can eat?
that you need or that is important to you? If I go to a buffet, they have all the food. What I do, I identify what I like
Right.
or what I want to try.
So then you can have it all.
So whatever the it is all for me.
So,
Correct.
so you can have it all.
Yes, you can.
In that respect.
In that respect,
Yeah. I think it is possible too, but there are seasons and times for everything. I think it's important not to try to do everything at the same time. Have times where, okay, this time I'm going to do this series of things I can handle. I know these are mature conversations that we need to have with ourselves. I can handle this section of things at this point in time. Dear Lord, help me not to go and jump my hand in something else and bring it in. And then because one of the things that I find is if the imbalance or where you do everything, then you're not able to give yourself properly to the things that you do. And then you realize like nobody can depend on you because you're imbalanced. Nobody, if I say okay, today I'll and this may happen at home with your spouse. And today I'm gonna sweep the house. When you get up in the morning, you go outside, you do this, do all these other things, but you forgot that you said you were going to sweep the house.
Right.
Frustrate the person, and because you said we're going to do it, and the person went out to do something else. Let's say they went to town shopping, and they thought that when they came back, at least they would find a clean house. Town was busy. They had heard all the traffic, the horns blowing and stuff. They figured they came home and sat down in a clean house. No, house was dirty. So then somebody can get caught up with so many different things and not give yourself properly to things. So I would say, yourself, work out what you can manage and what you can't manage. Okay, It's okay. I really can't do that now. And I know us human beings, for those who like the help, want the help, want the support, want to be there, can easily say yes. And you know what people call us? Yes, people.
Yes.
So yes, oh, you can do that. Yes, you can do that. Yes, you can do that. Yes, you can do that. Yes. And then you're so overwhelmed, you don't get to do anything. And then you know what? Then what people will say, you are unreliable. So that's why I think understanding or deciding, okay, I'm going to do this chunk of things for this season or this time. Maybe next time I'll do these other things. And they always encourage you to prioritize. What's important. What should I do at this point? Do I need to study? Maybe I can study next year. For this year, I'll just take a break and rest my brain. My mental health is important.
Correct.
So let me just take a moment and rest my brain. Next year, I'll start again. But next year, you will have had time to laugh, go to the beach some more, play some tennis or whatever. You had a year relax. And then you go on back, you're able to give more or give better because you would have prioritized. I think that's the way you can have it all, by doing it in seasons as opposed to doing it all at once. Have it all doesn't mean you have to do it all at once. Have it all means can mean that I will have sections and times where I would appropriate my time to various things. So I think that's the way to, because for me, I'm 48 and I'm now getting started. I have so many things I want to do. I can't do them all. No, I have to, hopefully the Lord will give me the spirit of my life that I'll be able to do, tapping and do this amount this time and do this year, do that next year, So I think that's important, and that's the way how we can get it done.
Even as you were saying that, I'm thinking of the Proverbs 31 woman. And I used to read that thing so much. Where she's doing this and she's doing that. There's so many things that she's doing too much. But that is it. Someone was saying, and in a book I was reading, the argument, do you think she was doing all these things at the same time? No. As Pastor was saying, seasons. And I learned that you have to ask God for each season, or what is you want me to do now? Especially if you have multi-gifts or multi-responsibilities. Right. What it is you want me to be doing now. When you get that clear, everything evolves, and find that balance within there. But you can't, as you said, you can't do everything.
I think that's always been my answer. When people say, women, particularly women, you can't have it all. And I used to say, yeah, you can. And they're like, no, you can't. Because they are thinking that it's all at the same time.
Yeah.
And I would say, yes, you can have it all, but just not at the same time. And they'll be like, oh, that's true, because you can't have all your children one time. Right. You can't, you have to do that in stages.
Right.
So if you, like you're saying, there's a season, there's a time. So, you put this down, you might say, okay, for women, for example, that you have a period or a window really when you should be having children. So you're kind of dictated by that if you want to have children. That's the only thing that's kind of like set for you. But everything else you can work around.
Right.
Studying and getting married and all those things, you can kind of work around that. So yeah, you can. I believe you can have it all, but just not all at the same time.
And I think that's a good note to finish on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, whoever you are, everybody. You can you can have it all. You can have it all. Solomon, you can't have it all. You can't have it all. That's an inside joke for us. So you can have it all, but just not all at once. And as I think about the Bible, there are always seasons and times where this body did this, they went through this happened to them, this change, and so on. And I think that's the way how we ought to approach balance, by determining what is important at this time and giving your best to the thing that you have committed yourself to do. And that way you live a fulfilled life as opposed to a confused life. Because if there's no balance, there's so much confusion going on. And I so love what you do, Dr. Colling, and I think making a schedule.
Hello.
I think this is a good idea.
It is.
I'm sorry.
It is.
I think it's important to have. I think it's important to have structure and schedule. And one of the things, and this will work well for your children. And while I was studying These, it's important. Children need structure. They need to have structure and order. So if you have a child and there's no structure or order in the child's life, where anything goes anytime, whatever, they need to be sent. Yes, you have spontaneity, but it's also important to have structure, because structure gives order and it also gives direction. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been having a good discussion. I'm sorry our time has run out on us. Next week, again, we're going to have another exciting discussion on Living Life God's Way. Please share this program with someone, especially if you know someone who works all the time, someone who studies all the time, someone who is always out all the time, someone who spends all the time with their children, someone who spends no time with themselves, someone who does not take a vacation, someone who doesn't take a walk on the beach and relax. Share this program with them. It will help them, I'm sure. Ladies, you think so too?
Absolutely.
I agree. So on behalf of these two beautiful ladies to my left and to my right, and all of us here at Living Life God's Way, and all the whole family, the community at the Elements of Judah Tribe, thank you for joining us on Living Life God's Way. We hope you have been blessed. We hope you have been encouraged. We hope that today's program have blessed you. And we are looking forward again to seeing you next week right here on these relative pages. So see you next week. Samantha, thank you for commenting. Dr. Pepe, thank you for commenting as well. I think you guys are the only person who will comment it today, but that's okay. We know others were watching because we can see the numbers. So have a great evening. Have a great Thursday evening. Remember, rest and sleep. Right, Doc?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Have a good evening. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Welcome to Living Life God's Way. Real life, real talk, real hope. Every show. Join us every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. as we discuss topics relating to life, church, family, education, and so much more. Invite a friend, tag them even, but don't you dare miss the show. Living Life God's Way every Thursday at 6:30 p.m.